Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what part of the world you are joining us from today. My name is Sharice Dalton, and I work with Actify, and I'd like to welcome and thank you all for joining today's SpinFire Tips and Tricks webinar. As a reminder, all attendees are muted and in listen-only mode for the duration of the webinar. Should you have any questions during the presentation, please submit them through the questions panel of the webinar dashboard, and an Actify representative will reach out to you. Today, we have my colleagues Todd Underhill and Alan Hardy presenting for you. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Todd. Hi, Todd.
Sharice, thank you for the introduction. Again, my name is Todd Underhill. I'm a Senior Account Manager with Actify, and welcome to our SpinFire Tips and Tricks webinar. And today, we're going to really be focusing in on the 11.8 release that just went out a couple weeks ago. Oops. So the agenda for today is updated websites, APM announcement, Cad Publisher availability, and SpinFire Enterprise. And then we'll go into a product demonstration with Alan Hardy. Just a reminder, so we went through a rebranding exercise, and what you'll notice is not only do we have an Actify website, we now have a dedicated SpinFire website as well, so spinfire.com. There are a couple areas that I want to point out. On the SpinFire homepage, you will see a couple links. One is to supported formats, that's highlighted, they're right in the middle of the page, and then the resource section at the top of the page. So when I click on the supported format link, it'll bring you to this landing page. And at the top of the page, what you'll see is the current SpinFire options that we have, basic, classic, and premium. And right below each SpinFire option is a list of importers and exporters that are currently supported by each option. And I do apologize, the exported area down below on the screen there was cut off. We just couldn't fit it onto the page, but there is quite a few more exporters that we support. In the resource section, we have a listing of upcoming webinars, product updates, and tutorials like 3D smart dimensioning functions, and much more. Again, this is a really good resource for you to, and I suggest that you go take a look at it if you have any questions about upcoming tutorials or functionality. We recently announced our APM program management suite, and how we got to where we're at today is a little over a year or so ago. We went out and visited with some of our customers to find out how they were using SpinFire and our Centro solution. What we found, they were using our solutions to solve a problem around automotive program management and how to manage those programs. Up until this point, there is no other solution in the marketplace to help the APM managers manage their programs. So through the research and conversations that we had with our customers to better understand their needs and pain points, that's how we came up with the APM suite, and that's how APM was born. And right here is just a list of some of the benefits that you'll see. So another product that we recently announced is Cad Publisher. Cad Publisher, the purpose of Cad Publishing solution is to publish data from a native Cad file for downstream use. Like SpinFire, it handles multiple native Cad formats, and it allows your organization to convert those Cad files. It can be a single part, it can be assembly from a designated folder, and convert those Cad files into other formats like SpinFire Ultimate, an image or a thumbnail, or other formats like STEP, IGES, JT, and others. So a lot of you signing up for this webinar may not be aware that we have SpinFire Enterprise. SpinFire Enterprise is a flat fee pricing model that allows everyone in your organization to have access to SpinFire. So if you look at the image on top of the slide, 4% of employees in a typical organization those are what we would call power users, users that can make changes to the CAD file or CAD model itself. And then there's everybody else. Everybody else would be individuals like sales, quality, estimating. They all need access to the product data. We believe at a very minimum, there's another 4% that could take advantage of SpinFire Enterprise within your company. So we have this flat fee pricing model, which is based on a 4% adoption rate for the total number of employees that you have within your organization. And most of the time, or in a lot of the cases, we see that adoption rate being much greater, upwards of 10, 15, even some cases 20%. SpinFire Enterprise comes with all of our importers and exporters that we currently support. You have unlimited SpinFire licenses for any employee at work, on the road, or at home. Access could include interns, temps, consultants. With a lot of your employees working remotely today, this could be a really good fit for your organization. Here's an example of one of our SpinFire Enterprise customers and the cost savings that they see. They're a tier 1 automotive supplier. They were able to terminate 43 native CAD licenses. They gained unlimited SpinFire for at work, on the road, or at home. They were able to save over $200,000 in annual costs, and that was driven mainly being able to terminate those 43 native CAD licenses and standardize on a vendor-neutral platform. Again, SpinFire Enterprise's flat fee pricing model is a value for all organizations, whether you currently have 1, 2, or more SpinFire licenses. This may be worth your organization checking into. So with that said, I'm now going to pass this over to Alan for a product demo.
Thank you, Todd. All right, so let's share my screen. Okay, so yeah, thank you everybody for joining the webinar today. So there, with 11, the release of SpinFire Ultimate 11.8.0, there has been a number of enhancements and updates. But today I just wanted to highlight some enhancements to the workspace area, some enhancements that have been updated with the assembly tree, and then some enhancements with our printing options, with our printing capabilities. So to start, with some changes to the workspace area, we have a new feature that allows you to kind of zoom in and look at areas of the assembly just by simply using this magnifying glass. To enable the magnifying glass, all I have to do is right click and go to this magnifying glass option in this context menu to toggle it on and off. It is also located in the zoom fit menu here. You'll find in this the magnifying glass located in this menu. If I toggle that on, now you see a circle that follows my cursor. And if I just overlay it on top of a part, and then just use my scroller as I'm pushing the scroller towards me, it zooms everything in. And also if I hold my control key down, it's going to make the magnifying glass a little bigger, so it allows me to have more room to be able to look around the assembly a little better. And then if I move my cursor around kind of outside the circle, you'll see the magnifying glass just kind of follows that. And then to toggle this off, all I have to do again is just right click and turn off the magnifying glass. And one thing is, you notice if I were to click on a part, it'll actually kind of keep that part on, so it kind of stays there, as you see, with that selected part. And then just by right clicking out in this space, I unselect that selected part. Now I'll turn off the magnifying glass. The next feature that we have, a lot of times when a user is using the SpinFire, they'll have a hard time trying to rotate that model. The model disappears. Well, now if you simply just, with your left mouse button, if I double click, it brings everything back into the area, into the workspace. And that's the same as this zoom fit option. So if I just simply click on zoom fit, that brings everything back into view. The next nice feature that we now have updated with 11.8.0 is some changes to the assembly tree, just some different icon indicators. So for example, you see this assembly, you see has a cube that has kind of some little triangles in that. So that indicates that that's a tessellated object as opposed to a solid. So that's a tessellated surface as opposed to a solid object. Whereas if I were to click on this part, I'll navigate, expand, you see that that is a solid object with some solid surfaces. So there's a difference in the solid and the B-wrap versus tessellated surfaces, and as well as enabling some feature tree enhancements. What a feature tree is ability to provide more detail on how this object was created by the native CAD. Now to enable that, and this is just something that most users who are familiar with CAD applications, they'll really like this feature. So to enable that, I have to go to options, importers, and so that's the feature tree is available with CATIA as well as SolidWorks. So if I were to go to my options for the SolidWorks, that feature solid part is a SolidWorks object. So I'll go here, enable my feature trees, click apply, close it, and I jump back to my workspace. Now it's not going to change what this is. It'll only, any changes that I make to my options, to my importer settings, will only impact any files that I open up thereafter, making those changes. So I'll go ahead and open up that file again. And just to show a little, to compare what the difference will look like between the assembly tree structure. You see the solid object here with the solid surfaces. And then now with the changes with the feature tree enabled, you now see this additional features objects. And you see that, okay, there's some diameters, some holes, some, just kind of how the solid objects were created. And you have your XYZ plane. So this is kind of exactly what the assembly tree would look like in the native CAD application. And the last thing I wanted to show today was some enhancements to our printing options. In the past, whenever anybody wanted to do a print, they'll go to print preview, right? And they'll see their default setting is A4 as opposed to what we have here in the United States is by default would be letters. So a user, anytime they want to do a print, they would always have to go and change the settings at each time, so it never got saved. So the new the enhancement with 11.8.0 is that the settings of your print are saved for the next time that you go back to printing. Those options will be saved, will be kept from the last time you made those changes. So landscape, and so by default, instead of it being A4, it's now a letter. And in addition to just some more image settings here. For example, there's background color. If I you saw that in the workspace, there's that purple background. I wanted to keep the white background from here on out, so I save that ink, apply those changes. It will remember those settings the next time that you print your paper. Now, in addition to our enhancements for printing. We now have this Vectorize option. And what this Vectorize option will do, it allows the image to be more of a crisper image, as opposed to rather than a pixelated image, the image would be more of based on points, lines, and curves, more of a mathematical formula. Okay. And for further information on our new features with SpinFire 11.80, you can always navigate to help.actify.com, and you'll see a list of going to the release notes of 11.80 or 11.81. You'll see those additional enhancements here. I showed today magnifying glass, some printing capabilities, as well as feature trees. Okay. So that's all I had for today. Todd, back to you.
So thanks, Alan. Just a reminder, we have a couple ways that you can reach our support team. One is via the web at support.actify.com, and then you'll hit this landing page. If you don't already have a access to the support site, you can register or sign up right here. And another way is through email at spinfiresupport@actify.com. We'll be sending out an email here, for our next upcoming webinar. You can subscribe to our APM LinkedIn group at LinkedIn, and you can follow us on Twitter at Actify_Inc. And here's all my contact information, and you can always feel free to reach out to me for any questions that you may have. And we really do appreciate and thank you for attending our webinar today.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Alan. And thank you to everyone that attended. And we look forward to seeing you guys on our next webinar. Have a good rest of your day.